Good afternoon, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and we're here with another Bargain Reads Bought Dirt Cheap. And today we're going to go back in time to 1975 and Atlas Comics. So what we're going to talk about is the whole Ironjaws. All right, so we got Barbarians #1, and we have Ironjaws 1 through 4. Now, all these ones I'm showing you are reader copies. I got them pretty cheap. I just wanted to read the stories first. I'll probably hunt these down in better grades now that I've read the stories. Alright, in issue 4. And we'll talk about these for a little bit. Let you know if they're worth your money, worth your time looking out and seeking out. And of course, what got me started on this whole thing was I had never heard of Atlas Comics before, and hanging in my LCS, Rhinos Comics, was this slab of Barbarians #1 featuring Ironjaw and Andrax. And of course, being a barbarian person, I had to have it. So I bought it, ordered the Barbarians 1 reader copy for myself so I could read that. And I've been going down an Atlas comic hole ever since, buying a bunch of Atlas. I also read Wolf the Barbarian, which I'll talk about in another video. But Atlas Comics wasn't around for long. They lasted 65 issues and then 2 magazines that had 2 issues each. So a pretty short-lived company, which is too bad. They had some good stuff. So, and the thing with Ironjaw is in Barbarians 1, you're introduced to the character. He's kind of crass, and he has some likable traits and he has some unlikable traits. And he meets up fighting these mutants on a mountain who end up capturing him. And from there, it's about misunderstanding. It's about both sides being intolerant of the other side, not wanting to take the time to see what they have in common and find common ground and work together instead of battling it out. And by the end, you know, his character has progressed. And this original Barbarians 1 was written by Gary Friedrich and Peter Weichman. Peter Weichman. Of course, the art was by Pablo Marcos, Jordy Bennett. And it was a great introduction to the character of Ironjaw. He started out crass. He learned a lesson by the end. Saw some of the ways he was being ignorant and grew as a person, and so it made the story fun. It was a great little one-story arc, and then it went into the 4-issue series here, which was supposed to be 6 issues, I believe, initially. They were supposed to publish 6 of these in a year. We got 4, just like we did with Wolf the Barbarian, but they switched up writers, and so for the first 3 issues of this series, it's written by, I had his name and then I forgot it because I'm talking to you guys now, Michael Fleischer. And the art inside is by Mike Sakowicki, who I didn't know before. So the art's not bad. We'll give the art a good solid B+. Throughout this series. And it does change. Pablo Marcos does a lot of the series too. But it's solid. But the problem with the first couple issues written by Michael Fleischer is this dude must have been hurt by a woman at some point because he's very derogatory, and it doesn't serve the story well. It doesn't create a hero that you want to root for, because you can't feel good rooting for him. He's very degrading towards women, and it's like sometimes you could say it's a product of the times when you're reading some of these old comics, and here it feels like the writer went out of his way to really be derogatory towards women, and it really hurts the story a lot. You want to like Ironjaw, you want to root for him, but the way Michael Fleischer was writing him in these first couple issues, it's a task. It makes it tough for you to root for him. And it's too bad because they set him up really well in Barbarians 1 when Gary Friedrich wrote them. And so issues 1 and 2 are kind of rough. And it's in the first 2 issues are an arc where he becomes king again. He finds out that he is part of a royal line, becomes king, and then decides being a king's not for him. All right, so the first 2 issues, the road to him becoming a king is okay. The dialogue and general attitude towards women will really take you out of it. I mean, it's really bludgeoning you over the head with it. So that was tough. And so much so that after the first 2 issues, I took a break because I was a little disappointed, so I had to get back to it. But I came back later in the evening with issues 3 and 4, and they got better. It was a more classic barbarian tale about survival, about meeting old comrades, and about living in a savage land, and even your friends who are your family aren't going to save you unless there's a price for them involved, right? And in the back and forth, the camaraderie. So it got better. And then you started to like Ironjaw more again, like you did in the first Barbarians 1. So number 3 started getting a little fresher. He got back up with his old bands who had his father figure in it, and it was a story about him reuniting with the old band and then having to save his father figure. And it was a decent issue, and the writing was better, and it served a better purpose, and it progressed the character a little bit more. It made him a little more human, made him a little more relatable, and all of a sudden, hey, starting to like Ironjaw again. He's not quite the there's no other way to say it. He's not quite the dick he was in the first 2, right? So we move on to issue 4. Issue 4 was the best. Issue 4 was what all 4 of these issues should have been. This one switched back to Gary Friedrich as the writer, and they should have just had him write all the Ironjaw issues, because when he's writing them, he is a hero that you can root for. And this tells his origin, and issue 4 itself is one great self-contained story, although it's setting up a continuing story, which we never get the rest of. But it tells you what happened, why he ended up with the Ironjaw. And it's a brutal tale, and it's really good. And the great thing about it is Gary Friedrich has a couple women in here. None of them are caricatures. None of them are written poorly. They're written very strongly, and it adds to the story. Because more than one character can be strong in a book, and you don't have to be derogatory towards a whole nother sex to make your character look tough. It has the opposite effect. And Gary Friedrich didn't do that in this. He wrote them strong. He wrote our hero strong. He wrote our hero becoming a hero. And not so much a hero, but who he is. A survivor in a savage land. All right? He's definitely not a hero, but he's a survivor. And he's learned how to survive in this land, and he has respect for other things, which was important. And I consider this kind of a true follow-up to the Barbarians 1. So out of these 5 issues, these 2 issues are standouts. Issues 1 and 2, there's some rough road in them. Barbarians number 1 and Ironjaw number 4 are much better. Gary Friedrich really had a good handle on what he wanted to write and what he wanted to do. And it felt like an author that was confident in his prose. The other guy read like he was going through something in his life and needed to get some anger out towards somebody. And it really didn't serve the story in those first couple issues. So this whole series overall, Barbarians number 1, we'll give an A+. Ironjaw number 4, we'll give an A+. Ironjaws 1 through 3, we'll give a C. Again, the writer, just Michael Fleischer. I know he's well respected in the comic writing community. This was not his shining moment. So just a little warning, just a little overview. Overall, I got, obviously I didn't get the slab cheap, but these all these reader copies barely cost me anything, and it's a series I will seek out for better copies. Um, I like the covers, I like the art. Pablo Marcos did a great job, and I'm not gonna let the writer ruin the love of some of these old books. I'm not going to recommend the first two issues, but what Gary Friedrich did with the character is more than worthy of being read. And those two issues alone made it worth it for me, because he had character development. And that's it for this issue. Whew, that's it for this episode of Bargain Reads Bought Dirt Cheap. If you guys have read any Ironjaws, let me know if you agree with my opinions or disagree with my opinions. I know some people aren't bothered by what I'm bothered by, and that's a personal thing. For me, I'm not into bashing, and it really takes me out of a story when I just see it done for no reason other than to do it is how it reads, and it bothered me, and it was tough to get through those first couple. Again, it was very redemptive when Gary Friedrich wrote it, and a lot better, and I'll reread those two issues that Gary Friedrich wrote over and over because they were good. But that's it for now, guys. Until next time, stay savage and keep it casual.